Hello guys and welcome to Fitment. Here we are in our newly purchased Beetle, and today we are going to be replacing the head unit. We've got a standard VW head unit in here at the moment, and the intention is to replace it with an Android head unit. If any of you have followed this channel a lot know I've done a lot with Android head units over the years, and currently got a series going out about launchers as well. It's got the standard VW head unit in it, which is a good head unit, but I just like the features that Android give you. So that's the first thing we're going to be doing. I'll just show you what this one looks like when it's operating and everything. Then we'll take it out. I'll show you how to take it out. We'll install the new one, and there'll also be a secondary video coming from this video where we'll be actually adding an amplifier.
We're Mark and V. Come with us. Let's adventure together.
So you can see this is the standard head unit. It's got the standard radio, media, phone, so it connects to Bluetooth, DAB, traffic announcements, and the setup. So if we just quickly go through all the buttons, so you can see if I go in there, that's AM, FM. Media, so you can have Bluetooth audio, you can have an SD card in it, which goes in down there. It's also how you would upgrade this to the latest firmware. Bluetooth audio and a CD, and we'll just check because we've just bought it. No, there's no CDs. It looks like we got a CD changer in here. Well, that'd be interesting because I didn't know we had that, but we'll have a look at see if we can find that along the way. Phone, you can have your mobile phone connected. Over here you have DAB, so you can see some channels tuned into DAB. Traffic announcements on or off, and then you come into the setup, and that's pretty much the radio, so you know. But now we're going to remove it, so let's have a look and see how we get to remove it.
And now we're going to remove the plastic trim. So we need a set of tools like this. They come in so handy. If you haven't got some, I really recommend you buy some. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find an entry point around the plastic trim. Just feel around and find somewhere where you think you can get the tool inserted and get it in behind, so we can start releasing it from the rest of the unit. Gently working around. Now I can tell you this is genuinely one of the hardest trims I've had to remove on all the cars I've done so far. It appears if I can come up underneath at the top here, hopefully I can get the tool in and just slowly work around. It's proving to be quite difficult though. There it goes. Right, you just gotta be very, very careful. You don't want to break anything. But you've got to be a little bit brutish and not be too scared, but at the same time just go so carefully that you're not going to break anything. You don't want to just be a bull in a china shop. I've watched some videos online where people are removing trims and they just pull them off so quickly, and I think you're so lucky that you don't break them. You know, you get them twisted and they start cracking, but just be sensible as you're doing it and you'll be fine. It's all a case of, you know, working around in a controlled fashion really, and once it does start coming away it gets easier. It's the first part that really is the most difficult part, but like I said, this is a very, very difficult unit to pull apart. It's probably never been pulled apart before, that's why. There it goes a little bit more. We'll move down to the bottom. So when you're doing this, just be so careful. I keep on saying this, but really, just be careful. And I'm finding if you come from the inside of the trim rather than the outside of the trim, it's a little tiny bit easier. Oh, just turned on the stereo. I'll just check the ignition switches off. Yeah, you can see as I'm coming from the inside, it is certainly easier. You get a little bit more. There we are. Look at that. And a little bit more. a little tight bit there. Gotta be careful. A little bit more. Nearly there. Nearly there. Oh, he's a tight one. He really is a tight one. Oh, there he goes. Right. That sounded terrible as it popped off. But you can see all the clips. Look, I'm going to show you the clips all around. And that's what you're trying to remove from the dash. So there's quite a lot of clips to release there. Let's put them up there out the way. So now that trim is removed, you can see the 4 torque screws. But I don't think we can get to them, can we? It looks like we're going to have to remove more trim. Yeah, I think we're going to have to. It looks like that chrome trim is going to have to be removed. Yes, definitely on closer inspection you can see that you're definitely going to have to remove it. There's no way of getting the torque screws out without removing it. So this one looks relatively simple in comparison. I'm just going to slide along the top. You can feel the clicks as we're going around. Look at that. It's coming away nicely. Yeah, that is really coming away nice and easy. Just gently around the edge. Don't want to damage anything. There he is. It pops out and you can see that's all coming out together. One complete unit. And that comes out with the vents as well. So there you can see that's one complete unit. Let's put that down so it doesn't get damaged. Okay, I know this ratchet's a bit overkill, but I seem to have misplaced my torque screwdrivers. So let's get on with it. It does the same job, doesn't it? Now there's something I always say to do, and that's get yourself one of these magnetic trays. They're brilliant. Take the screw out, because what we tend to do is we tend to throw our screw, remove the screws and throw them on the floor, don't we? And then you end up losing one, you're scrambling around for hours. But if you get this magnetic tray, look at that. You put it in there and it's just stuck in there until you go back to it. So you don't lose them. And if you think you would like one of these trays, if you look down below in the description, you'll find a link to our Amazon shop, and there's a link to the magnetic trays there. And if you buy something from our Amazon shop, it won't cost you anything extra, but we will actually get a little bit of a kickback, so you're actually supporting the channel in a funny sort of way. And we can't thank you enough for things like that, because every penny helps. So that's all the screws removed, and now I'm going to gently remove the head unit. Now it's time to release the cables on the back. Now they're quite easy to do, but I can't show you at the moment, but I will show you, because once you know what you're doing, it's really easy, but on the first time you do it, it can seem very difficult, almost impossible in fact. So let me just get this so I can show you. Okay, that's him out. I'll put him down there. Now I'm going to bring the camera in a bit and show you the next bit. These clips here, for your GPS and your aerial, you can see those little tabs. They just slide backwards and forwards. So when they're forward like that, that's in lock position. So remove it, just literally put your nail in and pull it back, and that releases. It's exactly the same on this one. You can see, use your nail, they're sliding backwards and forwards, just like that. It's locked, and then he's unlocked. And it's simple as that. Now we're going to come to the main harness connector. And you see it's quite simple. You just squeeze those two tabs together. Hopefully I can do it when I'm holding the camera. So you just squeeze it. I'm not sure if I can do this. I might have to put the camera down. Yeah, I can't do it one-handed. Let me put the camera down a minute. Give you a bit of a strange angle, but hopefully you'll be able to see it all the same. Right, that's camera balance. So literally, I'm just going to squeeze those two tabs together, and then it releases. You see that? And you have like a little curve there. You can see that curve, and that sort of pushes the connector away from the head unit as you turn it. and that's how it disconnects.
So that is the radio removed. Now we're going to install the new radio. But as I said, we've also got a amplifier going in as well, which Eonon has kindly sent us. So I'm going to break away from this video, film the other video. When I come back, the amplifier will already be in place, but we'll show you all the connections in this video as well. Does that sound good? I don't know. Does to me.
Well, now we're at the point where we're going to start putting everything back together, and it's just a case of, well, it's reversal of the removal of the head unit, just with a new head unit, that's all. So make sure they're all in the right positions. Line them up. And then theoretically we should just all push together. Sometimes a bit of wiggling involved. I always find cars quite awkward to work on because you're sat in the driver's seat or the passenger seat and you're sort of working in the middle of the car when you're doing head units and that. So you're always leaning at a funny angle. Not the best thing, but you got to get used to it. You know, the steering wheel gets in the way sometimes. That looks good, it's all done. And it's really good to try and not get the cables too tangled, because if you come in at a later stage and you want to do something else, if you've got to go in and add something in, it's always nice to have your cables as organised as nice as possible. For instance, I'm going to be adding a sub at a later stage, which means I will need to come in to this point again. So it'd be nice to be able to get at the cables without having a massive tangle. So we're nearly all back together now, all the cables are being connected, and we must test the unit before we put it all back together. Right, so here we are. All the cables are connected. It looks a bit of a mess, doesn't it? But it will get better. Now I'm just going to show you so it makes a little bit of sense. This is a DAB radio, and that's connected into the aerial of the car. That's the FM aerial, connecting to the head unit there. Now I'm not sure if you can see this properly, but the GPS puck is up underneath there, and that's roughly where it's stuck, but underneath. It's a thin bit of plastic, and I found they tend to work pretty well underneath there. So that's where I'm going to have it, so it's nice and tidy. And of course I said about the amplifier that we had from Eonon as well. And if you look down there, you can just see the power going into the amplifier, and then the power coming out of the amplifier and going into the head unit. So that's everything connected, and as I said, I'm going to just turn on the ignition and check that everything is working. You can see, just to prove GPS is working, and you can see that's loading up. Hopefully we'll get a signal from the GPS. A little bit slow, isn't it? Typical. Always takes a little bit longer when you're watching it. Come on, Waze. Right, there you are. And you can see it's taking my position, so we know the GPS is working as well. So that's great. Now I just need to tidy up all the wires and we'll put it all back in. Now the head unit's all screwed back into place, but let's have one last test to make sure everything's working before we put all the trims back in. Nothing worse than having to take the trims all back out. So we're just going to try DAB, FM and Waze again, just to make sure everything's working. Now I had someone comment in a previous video that they didn't like the FM app on the Eonon head units, but I don't see there being an issue with them personally, because it's just going to play music, and it's there, and it's okay. It does what you need it to do. I mean, if you really hate it that much, you can always download something different. There, we're loading up Waze, and again it's a little bit slow, but yep, it's got the position. So everything's been put back together. We've checked Waze, we've checked GPS, and we've checked the DAB. So we're good to put everything back in now and get all the trims on. Now I've been struggling to get this trim back in, it just felt like it wouldn't fit in properly, and it baffled me for a little while. And then I noticed that on the bottom of the head unit there's this little raised pieces just there, and so I just had to cut a little bit of the rear of the trim off. Not very much, you can just see there. That all goes on quite nicely now. And you can see if I turn it round, you can just see where I've cut it away. Just there and there. And it all fits in really nice and tidy now. So that's, if you want to put an Eonon head unit in your Beetle, you're going to have to just take away that little bit of trim. So I'm now going to insert the vents. Just gently insert them and they click into place. There, you can see that's clicked into place. Just make sure they all work before you put anything else on top of them. And then we come to the trim. Now it's going to go in relatively easy. You're just going to work your way around very gently again. Sometimes it doesn't clip in first time. You just got to gently work your way around. So all the clips just get in, and sometimes you got to hold one side and all of a sudden it all clips into place. Nearly there, and you just sort of over bottom pop out a little bit there. So I'm just going to come round, and there we are, it's all fitted back. And that was, I'll be very honest with you, that was quite a fiddle. Obviously the Eonon head unit wasn't designed to go in here, but it was just a slight modification and it's fitted. So let's see if it still powers up. Let's hope so, eh? Yep, that's looking good. So we just got to set it all up now, and that'd be great. So out of interest, I wonder if you look at that. Even the controls on the steering wheel work without even doing anything more.
Right, so that's it all installed, and it was a little bit of a pain, wasn't it? But it's there. Just on the corners, on the bottom of the unit, just here and there, that trim had to be tidied up a little bit, but you saw that. But apart from that, it's all installed, it's all working. I think it looks quite good. I think it's the right size for the dash. I don't think you could go any bigger on the dash. I think it would look a bit silly maybe. Although, you know, if you could have all your controls built into it as well, you could have a nice Tesla in there, couldn't you? But maybe that's another day. If anybody wants to send me a Tesla one that will do the controls as well, and we'll certainly have a go at doing it. Or maybe you could lower the controls a little bit. We'd certainly have a go at doing that. Anyway, hopefully this is showing you how to install the unit into your Beetle, showing you how to take the stereo out. And we'll see you in the next video, guys, and that'll be for this particular series. That will be actually setting up the Eonon head unit. So see you later, guys. Catch us. Bye.